I can tell because it's constant, it's like a revolving door. At the time of this, Headland had 13. Abbeville, I believe, had 5 or 6. And then the SO is kind of hard to determine because they have different jailers and whatnot doing dispatch as well. So I would say probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a little over 20 dispatchers. When we were in Chambers, I guess I need to stand up for this one. When we were in Chambers County, when we went and saw their unified dispatch, they have a county population of about 36,000, which is roughly double what we have. They were doing it with 15 dispatchers, and they seemed to serve multiple agencies. Pretty much everybody in the county was on that. It was a really nice facility. Everything was seamless. If they had any problems, there were certain chains of command they went through as far as complaints from different departments and whatnot. And it passed up the departments before it spilled over into the dispatch. So it kept the yang out of it. And it's just, it seemed really, really smooth flowing. We were there in the middle of the day. They staff 3 dispatchers in what we consider normal time. I think we could do it with 2. I have done a little bit of calculations as far as time goes, and it looks like we could probably do it with about 10 dispatchers here. And that's putting 3 on for prime time with the county, and then, you know, during your normal everyday hours when the counts are low, just staying with 2. And that's judging by call volumes that they field in Chambers County versus call volumes I received from the multiple agencies here. And I did get call volumes from the city of Abbeville, which was hosting the sheriff's department at that time. So I got those 2 departments together, as well as Headland's numbers. So.
In some of these savings, would we be able to, obviously, if you can go from 20 to 10 and get better coverage, would we be able to consider better compensation for our dispatchers? I mean, in the centralized?
Well, that would all be determined on the final process of it. I would certainly like to give them better better pay. They deserve it. The job is a tough job. The figures I used were a standard $10 an hour. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to reduce somebody that makes more if this happens. That was just a good average. I took the largest department, which was Headland. I averaged their wages, and when you average the top wage with the bottom wage, it came out to be about $10.50 an hour. So I went with $10 an hour to make the math easy. And then I added 30% for benefits and insurance and whatnot. And that's how I got those numbers there. The cost share that you see, I got those numbers based off of call volume. And the cost share is the hardest part to determine, but based on call volume, the city of Headland had more calls than Abbeville and the sheriff's department did. And that's coming from my 911 numbers. CAD numbers, actual calls are hard to determine because there's 2 different CAD systems. That's computer-aided dispatch. So, you know, what one might generate a CAD number for, the other, or generate a case number for, the other one may not. So I couldn't, there wasn't apples and apples on that. I had to, when I say I mean we had to determine the best we could with what we had. But either way we put it, there looks like there's going to be substantial savings for pretty much every entity involved.
Is there an advantage for this being unified in a particular place?
I believe so,
like
personally.
Headland or Abbeville?
I believe so personally, yes, ma'am. Just due to the fact that, like for instance, if there's a situation where radios won't reach, you have to pick up the telephone to reach the other dispatcher in the other facility. You wouldn't have to do that. It's all in one spot. All the dispatchers will know what's going on, the exact same thing at all times, because we'll be using the same CAD system. So if you've got one dispatcher sitting over there dispatching one particular incident and it all goes crazy, the other dispatchers will instantly know what's going on because it'll be populated on their screen. That's what I noticed in Chambers. And I'm kind of an IT guy, so that, you know, that drug me in that direction.
I think she was asking one city better than another.
I don't see where it would benefit one city better than another to have it in a particular city other than other, because we're not actually relocating police departments. Like for instance, if you run in here in this police department at 2 a.m. on any particular night and you have an issue, the dispatcher's not gonna run out there and help you. They're gonna call an officer to come here. Be the exact same situation.
Where it's going temporarily, I'm understanding, is in the annex building?
Yes, ma'am.
Why in the world would you want to move it once you get it situated there? Why couldn't it stay there with all that room that's over there?
It could.
That needs to be used and utilized instead of taking money and put it in land and building and using all that money that we don't need to spend when we've got the facility over here and it's already gonna be over there.
It could, but that was not in my task to
Okay.
try to figure out. I was
Okay.
just a budget.
I'm just trying to get the horse ahead of the cart.
Yeah, I can't answer that question.
Yeah, okay.
Our task was to come up with some numbers on personnel
Yeah.
and what that would
I
cost.
think it needs to be one location, absolutely.
So,
I
Well,
mean,
it's a
it would save
no-brainer.
lives, it would
That's what-
save lives, because we had a lady up in Screamer that had a bad wreck as we were going to church.
mhm.
It took me 15 minutes and her bleeding out to get an ambulance on the way.
Yeah.
15 minutes, because I had to call Fort Gaines. Fort Gaines told me I had to call Headland. Headland told me I had to call Abbeville. Abbeville told me I had to call the sheriff's department. This lady bleeding out with a mate, she stayed in the hospital 3 weeks because she got so much blood.
Well,
That's where I'm coming from.
with a unified dispatch, that won't happen because
That's
all
what
three
I'm
entities
saying.
will be sitting in the same room.
But we need to make sure that everybody's gonna have service on the lake as well as Headland.
Mhm.
Because right now, we don't have it.
Yeah, I understand what you're talking about, and as far as you hitting or going to the Fort Gaines 911,
Everybody up there does.
well, that's because they're bouncing off of a Fort Gaines cell tower.
I know it, but that's not our fault.
I know,
Right.
I know, but that's a whole different
That's-
ball game than what we're playing right now.
Yeah, but it needs to be known.
I understand that, and I'll pass that up to my 911
Yeah,
director.
yeah.
I'll let him know about it, and I'll talk with you more about it later on,
Same
but,
thing with my husband when he got off the barn.
yeah. At your house? Your
Yes.
house is still
Yes.
in the Fort Gaines?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But yeah, I'll have to pass that to my director, and then he
Okay.
can get with the GSM Malpers,
I'm
and
just trying to
that's
let
just a
it be
different
known
ballgame.
what
but-
our problems are while
Sure.
y'all are working on this.
Sure, yes, ma'am, I'd love to hear all of them.
Well, that's it. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay, but yeah, I'll take that, and we'll see what we can do. I mean, like, I know nothing about that right now. I kind of know how GSM works with cell phones. It's actually starting to become some pretty awesome technology, but for some reason, it's in you. So I'll see what I can do. I'll pass that up my
Right
chain.
there or something, I don't know.
Okay. I know they just put one on North Galaxy, so that might change. But I'll see if we can't do some tests or see what we got to do to try to get that address for you, Miss Winnie.
Well, I just believe, no matter which way we all look at it, for the future and the betterment of Henry County as a whole, not no one town, this is the way to go, and I would like to ask this council to, let's vote on when it does, see, it's gonna be probably a year by the time we get the money, and is that right?
It's going to take a significant amount of time
So,
to establish a
I would like for
facility.
us to vote to go on record for this procedure, because there ain't no way it's not gonna benefit. We're gonna probably pick up an extra $150,000 a year, and that means a lot to us. And anytime you duplicate services, I feel the same way about a lot of things like that, which I won't mention, but anytime you got the 3 different organizations patrolling and covering the same area and dispatchers, all, when it could be done with a third of that, it just makes sense. You would do it if it was coming out of your pocket, and basically it is.
Less feeding.
Do I?
Less
That's right.
feeding,
It
that
cuts out
I see a lot
of
less.
personnel.
Yes, there don't need to
It
be no
does.
feeding when you're saving lives.
And all we want, and all I want, and I think this council and everybody concerned, is what's best. And I even went as far as I told him, and if it's in Headland or Abbeville, I don't care, as long as it benefits. We got this building, but if Headland's got one too, if the end result's the same and it's gonna make it to where Headland don't wanna go along with it on count it being in Abbeville, then I'm go ever how we have to. I want it accomplished. I want dispatch, so. That's my wants now, and it's up to
This is
these
the seat.
people here. It just makes sense. That's the only way I know how to say it is, and I would like for us to go on record as being for it.
I'd like to ask Pete, what's the consensus of the people at Headland?
I've gone out and checked with everybody. You know, I've got a little blowback from a couple of people, but we haven't presented it to the council yet. And we're gonna do that tomorrow night. This is good business sense. It makes good sense to me. If
Well,
you
I
can
can
take your
understand
business and
Headland
say,
wants it,
yeah.
just like Abbeville wants.
Right,
And like I said, I wish there was some way, we had some property
in between.
between, but we don't have it, so, if it's, like the mayor just said, if it's gotta go in Headland, that's not gonna kill us.
As long
This
as
is the
the-
county seat.
But when
Yes,
we,
it does matter.
like Mr. Holt Stokes said, we gotta forget Sandy Creek, that's not a Mason
No.
and Dixon line, that's just Headland down there and Abbeville up here. So,
If the end result is the betterment for everybody in the
True.
county, that's what I'm
If it's the
saying.
betterment,
I'm
then
not
why
saying
does it
I
matter?
don't want it
Sorry,
in
if this is
Abbeville.
the seat, what does it matter? Why should Headland care? If this is the county seat, that courthouse is here, why does it matter if they wanna go, why shouldn't they cooperate? This is the county seat, for goodness sakes. It's already gonna be over there.
Well, I don't think nobody's saying they won't cooperate. I'm just saying that there is some feelings I've heard from Headland, and if anybody down there,
Next
if
they
it's
go,
gonna
won't
kill
our
this
courthouse
thing,
down there, what y'all
if
gonna say
anybody
then?
kills it, the whole county's gonna suffer. And I'm just, I'm sorry, I'm not like that. The whole procedure behind this is helping everybody in the county, whether you live in Headland or not. We all Henry Countyans, and,
Well, it
I
saves
just
money
think-
and gives everybody better service.
that's what the objective is, and.
Hard to beat.
And we can hash out later where it's gonna be, if it's gonna be over here.
Well, let's let the county vote on it.
Well, we
What I
can-
say.
but-
John, at the present time, and Noel might can answer this, aren't the radio systems here can pretty much hit all over the county where Headland's radio system will not?
The chief would probably be better at answering
Yeah,
that question.
yeah.
I know during Hurricane Michael, we had the SO in our, we had the sheriff's office in our emergency operations center. I'll try not to use acronyms, I've been working a little bit too much on this, but anyway. And we were dispatching with the county 24/7 through the whole hurricane all over the county. I can't speak for the municipalities. I don't know how well they can talk to each other, but I believe car to car you can well, right?
Us and Headland, since we're on the same type of system, can talk to each other.
So communications will be something that will have to be
Yeah,
addressed.
it's gonna have to be.
There are two different radio systems, but I wouldn't put that as I wouldn't put that as a deal breaker. Because then again, if you can't communicate, so you've got two different radios, you still have all the players, the start players in the same room. You have all the dispatchers in the same room, looking at the same screen, doing the same actions.
And John, I'd like for you to tell them too, I understand, I've talked to Ray Marler, Mayor Marler, and he seems to want more details about the 100% what it's gonna cost, and it's impossible to do that. This is a very good projection of what it'll cost, but there's in no way, and after talking with you, and I think Ray was in agreement too, that there's no way we're not gonna save some considerable money.
No, there's no way that this isn't gonna save a pile of money. But yeah, as far as how much this is gonna cost down to the cent, that's just not possible at this point in time. As we get to a location, we can get a lot more accurate with it, but at this point, with no location, I can't tell you.
And I would say too, y'all, I don't know if all of you know, we're getting about, what, $300,000?
I believe it's somewhere around 298, but yes, sir, $300,000.
To coordinate setting this up.
A lot of that can be moved this way. It's a mitigation grant. And I can't speak too much on that because that is not what I'm doing at the moment.
That's what these figures are kind of based on.
Actually, I base these figures on getting no grant money. There's no grant money in these figures because we don't have any construction in here. This is personnel.
But the grant money will take care of the construction.
I do not see why not, because it would help us mitigate a natural
we
disaster,
don't
and that's
build a
what the
building.
mitigation grant is for.
Okay.
But I do know that it has to be in a pre-existing building. We can't use it to build.
Which is why